to Sound the Trumpet Radio Ministry. I am your host, Raah Pathwal Yisrael of YHWH True Remnant Fellowship and Ministry. Once again, it is a joy and pleasure for me to share with you the word of the Most High, to bring understanding and knowledge to the word of Yah. And on this particular session, this video session, we will be talking about the law, our schoolmaster. Many people today, especially Christians primarily, they want to use this particular topic concerning the law being our schoolmasters. They try to use it to validate their claim concerning the reasons why we should not obey the law and the commandments of the Most High. But they do it ignorantly because they do not understand that actually this particular verse that the Apostle Paul or Brother Saul writes in the book of Galatians actually gives validity and credibility to the law of the Most High. And we want to show that and prove that in this video teaching today, that you might be able to share this understanding and knowledge with others in whom you come in contact with. All right? So it's very important, people, that we understand the correlation between the law and the prophets and Messiah Yeshua. Yeshua himself said that he did not come to do away or to destroy the law and the prophets. He came to fulfill them. The law and the prophets is the validity and the credibility of Messiah Yeshua HaMashiach. Without it, then Messiah has no validity or no credibility to be who he declared himself to be. That's why after the resurrection, Messiah Yeshua, he had to meet with his disciples, and the scripture says that he started with Moses and the prophets. He started there in the books of Moses and the prophets, explaining and expounding himself in those books. Why? Because it was important for him and imperative for Messiah to give the disciples revelation knowledge in the Old Testament concerning himself. It is the same thing with us today. We have to understand the law and the prophets of the Most High in order to understand the validity of who Messiah is. Without that, then we have no concrete foundation, and we cannot actually see the essence and understand what faith in Messiah is. Okay, so we want to deal with that aspect in this teaching. I want to begin in the book of Galatians chapter 3 verse 21. Galatians chapter 3 verse 21. I want to begin reading. The scripture says, "Is the law then against the promises of Elohim?" It says, "Elohim forbid. For if there had been a law which given spiritual life or given life, verily justification or righteousness should have been by the law." So we know that we're not justified by the deeds of the law. That's not what the law is for. The law is not for us to be justified, okay? It is to show us what things are pleasing and things that are displeasing before the Most High, so that we might be able to maintain justification and maintain our right standing in the sight of the Most High. Our justification comes through the atonement that is given on the behalf of our past failures or our past sin, our past criminal acts that we have committed in ignorance towards the Most High. Okay, so that's what justification is. Being justified through faith in Messiah is being justified through the redemption, the atonement that Messiah gave, and that is his body and his blood. Okay, let's continue on. It said, "But the scripture has concluded that all is under sin, that the promises of faith of Messiah Yeshua might be given to those that believe." I want to skip back up to verse 21, okay? The law is not against the promises of Yah. We have to understand that the law does not defer. The law does not disannul the promises that Yah gave Abraham, Isaac, and Yacqob. Those promises still stand today. The law is not against that. The law is not going to take any of the promises or the oaths that Yah has made to his people away, okay? That's not what the law is going to do. As a matter of fact, the law is going to show us the essence of who Yah is, his character, what he requires for us to do, okay? Without a law or instructions in place to give us instructions in our life, then we have no type of credibility, or we have no type of validity as far as living or obeying what Yah has told us to do. So if there's not instructions to show us what Yah requires of us, then how are we going to know what's pleasing before the Most High? So why would Messiah come to do away with the very law and the prophets that gave him credibility and validity? He did not come to do away with that. He came to fulfill all the prophecies that were prophesied of him in the law and in the prophets. And when he returns again, he's coming to fulfill those same prophecies that's prophesied in the law and in the prophets concerning his second coming, okay? Let's continue on. He says in verse 23, he said, but before faith came, we were kept under the law, shut up unto faith, which should afterwards be revealed. Okay, so we were kept under the law. That word kept in the Hebrew, it is shamar, which simply means to hedge or to guard or to be circumspect or to protect. It is the same analogy and synonyms that are used in the Greek vernacular: to hedge in, to protect, to guard. Okay, so the law of the Most High guarded us until the revealing or the manifestation of Yahshua HaMashiach, and we were kept under that law. That word "under" here does not mean, or the metaphor does not give us a defining meaning that is associated with dictatorship or control or rulership. This word "under" simply means to be put in an inferior position, or to be put beneath or below it in a sense of insecurity or being unsure of oneself, okay? So Messiah gave us an assurance. He gave us an assurance that we don't have to have an inferior complex to the law of the Most High, but we can become equal to the law of the Most High by obeying the law that Yah had given us, and we don't have to think that it's incapable of fulfilling, and it is impossible for us to fulfill the law and the prophets as Messiah did. He fulfilled the law and the prophets. Romans chapter 8 tells us that Messiah, he was manifest in the flesh to condemn sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us. So that was the whole point of Messiah even coming. Not only to give us redemption from our sin, but also that the righteousness of Yah's law, the justification of Yah's law, the righteousness of Yah's law might be fulfilled in us. So as Messiah fulfilled the law, we have to fulfill the law as well. We have to keep it. Not being inferior to it, because even in that same chapter it says what the law could not do, seeing that it was weak through our flesh. So through our flesh we were put in a weak position, or under the law, under it, in a sense of a inferiority to it. Why? Because we try to keep it through the flesh. And many people today, the reason why you cannot keep the law of the Most High or the statutes of the Most High is because you continue to walk in the flesh. And you have to walk in the spirit. You have to have a spiritual mind. Even the Apostle Paul says in Romans chapter 7, he said, therefore the law is spiritual. He tells us that the law is spiritually discerned. So you cannot discern the law without the Spirit of the Most High. And that's why many people and pastors and Christians and people today think that the law is so hard to do. Why? Because they're walking in their flesh and not discerning the law through the Spirit. Let's continue on. He said, but we were kept under the law, shut up until faith, which should be manifest or revealed. Look at verse 24. This is what I want to emphasize. He said, wherefore the law is what? Our schoolmaster. I want you to hear this now. Bring us to Messiah. So how can you be brought to Messiah if you're not following or being led by the schoolmaster, which is the law? So the law is to bring us to Messiah. So without the law bringing us to Messiah, then we cannot really be brought to Messiah without the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Because this is the thing that gives us the knowledge and understanding that we need concerning Messiah. Without that knowledge and understanding, then we do not understand the full essence and the full revelation of who Messiah is. That Messiah is the way, truth, and the light. No man can come to the Father except by him. We know that. We can't get to the Father without Messiah. But how do we get to Messiah? we get to Messiah, or we are brought to Messiah through the schoolmaster, which is the law. Okay? Now, let's continue on. He says that the law was our schoolmaster to bring us to Messiah, that we might be what? Justified by faith. This word faith here is not the same as the Hebrew word emunah, all right? This word faith in the Greek vernacular, in the Greek sense, it is associated with reliance upon Messiah for salvation. So when you see that word faith, it's talking about relying in Messiah for salvation. So the law is our schoolmaster to bring us to Messiah, that we might rely upon Messiah for what? Justification, for our salvation, for the atonement, for the pardon of our sin, okay? I want to emphasize this word schoolmaster, okay? In the Greek vernacular, the metaphors that they use in the Greek, this word is associated with a servant whose job is to bring the children to school, all right? So in this incident, or in this analogy that is given, the schoolmaster was to bring the children to school. Why are you brought to school? What is a school? A school is an institution of learning where you learn fundamental basic principles whereby you are able to function in society as a mature individual. So the schooling is very vital in our understanding of Messiah and be able to be brought to that maturity whereby we are brought to the revelation of who Messiah is. That's what the schoolmaster is for. In the Hebrew, the word schoolmaster, there's two words to define teacher or schoolmaster in the Hebrew vernacular. One is Raah. Raah. That word Raah means to point out or to aim with the finger, to cause one's attention to be drawn to something specifically and to specify that thing and to bring understanding and knowledge to it by pointing it out, by revealing it, by manifesting it, bringing it to their attention or bringing it to their knowledge. The second enunciation of the word schoolmaster or teacher, it is benign. This word is found in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 18. Which simply means a tutor, instructor, or teacher, okay? A teacher is an individual, male or female, that is set in motion to bring you knowledge and understanding of what they have learned, okay? So a teacher cannot teach effectively if they don't understand or have not been brought to learning or full maturity, full understanding of what they are teaching you. So until you understand, until you have the same understanding and knowledge concerning the concept or concerning the subject that the teacher or the schoolmaster is teaching, then that puts you in an inferior complex to the teacher. Why? Because you don't understand or know what the teacher knows. That's why he is in front of you. That's why she is in front of you, to give you the understanding, to impart into you the knowledge and that they have received, that you might be able to function and to reason on their level. So until we have the full understanding and maturity of the law, then we're going to be inferior to the law of the Most High until we gain the understanding and begin to use the law as a tool and an instrument that Yah has designed it to be. But the Christians, they take this and they say, okay, well then, the law is our schoolmaster, he brought us to Messiah, so since we have Messiah now, we don't no longer need the law. That's not what it's talking about. It's not saying that you throw the law away because of Messiah. That's not what it's saying. It's saying that you are now no longer under it, or you're no longer inferior to it. You don't have to feel like you're weak, because once you come to the objective that the law was made, or the law was instituted to do, and that is to bring you to Messiah, you're no longer inferior to the law. You're no longer beneath it or below it. You don't have to feel as though the law is greater or bigger than you. Why? Because now you have the understanding that the law was put in place to teach you, and that is about Messiah. And once once you understand you're brought to Messiah, you're no longer inferior to the law, but you are equal with the law of the Most High. Why? Because you're going to obey what the law tells you to do, because you're going to understand the essence of the law is concerning Messiah. Everything about the law and the prophets is concerning Messiah. It's talking about Messiah. It's prophesying of Messiah. So the schoolmaster is to bring us to Messiah. So how in the world are you going to be brought to Messiah without going through the schoolmaster first? Because the schoolmaster is put in place to bring you to Messiah. That's why I'm telling you, a lot of people have not been brought to Messiah. They don't even understand who Messiah is. Why? Because they want to bypass the schoolmaster and run to Messiah. You cannot do that. You have to understand who Messiah is. And the only way to understand who Messiah is the same way that the apostles preach. They preach from the law and the prophets. That's how they expound upon the revelation of Messiah, was through the law and the prophets. The renewed Testament scripture of the writing of the apostles is just confirmation of what's already been written. They're just writing their experiences. They are writing their dealings and their experience with Messiah to clarify and to give us a second recommendation that Messiah is who he said he is. So you cannot have one without the other. So the schoolmaster is a teacher. Okay, let's use this analogy. We go to school for 12 years. Elementary school, some people go to Head Start, preschool, elementary school, junior high, high school, okay? The educational system has been put in place so that you can learn principles, basic fundamentals, reading, writing, and arithmetic. Things that you're going to have to use to be able to function in society. When you do not learn these aspects, then you become dysfunctional because you're not able to operate in society because you have not learned these basic fundamentals. Therefore, it puts you in an inferior position in operating in the world. Sometimes you can't even get a job. So the learning that has been put in place through the educational system is paramount for us to understand these things so that we can get good jobs or so forth and so on. That's just an analogy, okay? Once we graduate from school, most of the time individuals graduate from school at the age of 18 years old. Once we graduate from school, does that mean that I throw away the English that I've learned? Does that mean I throw away reading? I no longer have to read now, so I can throw that away. Does that mean I throw away arithmetic or mathematics? Just because I graduated from school, I'm not under a schoolmaster, or I don't have a teacher in front of me teaching me about chemistry, teaching me about algebra, teaching me my ABCs, showing me how to write. Just because I don't have a schoolmaster that's teaching me that, does that mean that I throw those things away because I'm no longer under or inferior to that? I'm a mature individual now. I can function on my own. I have learned the process of the educational system. Now I can go into life. I can get a good job. I can count my money. I can count. I can write. I can read. I can do arithmetic and all these things now. Does that mean that I throw away everything that I've learned? Just because I'm not under or I'm not inferior to a schoolmaster? No, it does not. The same things that you have learned from your preschool teachers all the way to your 12th grade teachers, you still use these things today. You teach your kids the same things that you were taught. There are individuals in our lives that have taught us things in life, our mothers, our fathers, our uncles, our grandparents, your friends, whoever it is. There's been people that's been instrumental in my life. Experiences that they have experienced in their own life. Now, just because I'm a grown man and I'm no longer under their jurisdiction anymore, or underneath their tutoral, or underneath their instruction, does that mean that I throw away everything that I learned from them? Just because I'm not in my father and my mother's house, I'm a grown man now, I have my own family, does that mean that I throw away all the things that my father and my mother instilled into me? Does that mean I don't need those things no more? Those same principles that I learned from my father and from other men and women that had a great impact on my life, I'm teaching my children that now. The same principles that I have learned in my life, I enforce those same principles in my household today. And it's the same thing with the law of the Most High. That doesn't mean that we throw away everything that the law has given us to show us what is right and what is pleasing in the sight of the Most High, because, oh, I'm saved by grace through faith, so I no longer need the law. I'm not under the law anymore. I'm not inferior to the law. I'm mature now, so I don't need nothing that the law says. That's a lie from the pit of hell. And that's why many people are still continuing in sin, because they want to transgress the law of the Most High. The law is to bring us to Messiah. We are no longer under the law because we're not inferior to it. We're not put in an inferior position or condition, because now we are equal with the law, because I have the understanding that the law was meant to give me. The men and women that were inspirational in my life today, I don't feel inferior to them, because everything that I've learned have come through them. Now I can share the same knowledge and understanding that they share and talk on their level now. That doesn't mean I disrespect them, but that means that I no longer see them as an inferior complex now, because I'm a grown man and I have the same understanding and wisdom that they have, because the same understanding and wisdom that they have, they impart that wisdom into me. That's the same thing with my mother and father. I don't feel inferior to my father. I don't feel inferior to my mother. And that doesn't mean I'm disrespectful because of that. It's because the same things that they taught me, the same principles and laws and commandments they instilled into me, I can talk on their level now, because I share in that understanding and in that knowledge now. And I'm teaching my children the same way that I was taught. I'm bringing up my family the same way my father brought up his family. I'm loving my wife the same way my father loved his wife. Why? Because he set that example and he taught us those principles and those things. Now I'm no longer under his jurisdiction. I'm no longer in his household. He is no longer my schoolmaster. I am not under him. I'm not inferior to him. I'm not put in an inferior position or condition to him. Now I'm equal with him, because now I share in the same knowledge and understanding that he taught me. Therefore, I can go to build on the foundation in which he instilled in me. So his understanding and his knowledge that he imparted into me was to bring me to a certain maturity and understanding in my life that I can impart and be a responsible man and be a righteous man before Yah. So I'm not in an inferior position now. I don't feel as though I'm insecure because he knows more than I know. No, that's not the case anymore. Why? Because I'm a mature man now. And I'm able to discern distinctively what is right and what is wrong based on what I have been taught by my schoolmasters. That's the same thing with the law of the Most High. The law of the Most High is to teach us. It is our schoolmaster. And once we come to the knowledge of who Messiah is, no, we're not inferior to that law. We're not under that law in the sense of inferiority. Look up the word. Look at the word in this text, and you will see that it means to be beneath or below, or to be put in an inferior condition or position to it. The reason why you feel weak or inferior to law, because you're still in your flesh. And you need to begin to walk in the spirit of the Most High. Let's continue on. He says, but after that faith is come, we are no longer inferior or under a schoolmaster. Galatians chapter 4 verse 1. Let's read this. He said, now I say that the heirs, as long as he is a child, differs nothing from a servant. So as long as you are a child, even though you are heir, you are possessor of everything that the Most High is giving you are everything that your parents have. As long as you are a child, what is a child? A child is immature in their learning. Their learning has to be developed. I have children now. They don't have the understanding that I have. They are inferior to me. They are weaker. They don't have the strength that I possess. They don't have the intellect that I possess. So I have to impart what I know. I have to impart my strength into them to build them up to a level whereby they can think, they can function, and they can talk on my level. And once they get to that level, they are old enough and mature enough that they can live underneath my jurisdiction. They no longer need me as a schoolmaster because they can build upon what has been imparted and taught into them, because it has brought them to a certain maturity. It's brought them to a certain revelation in their lives. He said, but as long as that individual is a child, they differ nothing from a servant. It says, but they are what? Inferior. They are under. They are beneath. They are below. They are put in an inferior position. They are under what? Tutorers, governors, until the time appointed of the Father. Until that time is appointed. Until that time of maturity, whereby they are mature enough to walk into the inheritance that the Father has for them, they are no different than a servant. They are put under tutors. They are put under schoolmasters. They are put under things in order to teach them and to govern them and to impart an understanding and knowledge unto them until that appointed time whereby they are grown enough, mature enough to walk in the maturity and into the possession and into the inheritance in which their Father has for them. Now look at this. He said, but when the fullness of time was come, Yah sent forth his Son, made under a woman, made under the law. Messiah, he was born of a woman. He was made under, inferior position to the law of the Most High. That's why he had to come in flesh. And he was tempted in every point as we are tempted, but yet he was without sin. So there's no excuse for us. We no longer have to be inferior to the law now because the Spirit of Messiah dwells in us. He overcame the world. We are able to overcome sin as well. We are able to overcome as well. We are able to keep his law and statutes and commandments as well, okay? Let's skip up to Galatians chapter 4, verse 3. I didn't read that. He said, even so, when we were children, we were in bondage under the elements of the world. What is the elements of the world? It is the fundamentals, the principles, and the rudiments of the world, okay? Let's get down to verse 5. It says here, to redeem them that were inferior or under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons, okay? So Messiah came to redeem us from the inferiority, the position that we was put under the law of the Most High. Not meaning that the law of the Most High is a bad thing. That's not the case. Because Romans chapter 8, as I quoted previously, tell us that what the law could not do, seeing that it was weak, what? Through the flesh. Yah sent his Son in the likeness of sinful flesh to condemn sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the Spirit, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. So the only reason why you still feel weak to the law of the Most High is because you're walking after the flesh. Because through your flesh, the law is weak. You are put in an inferior position to it. So the Most High came to redeem us from that. He came to buy us back from that inferiority. And that inferiority is the flesh. It is sin. That's what puts us in an inferior position to the law of the Most High. We're going to prove that, okay? So as long as we are living in sin, what is sin? Sin is transgression of the law. 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. That we are put in an inferior complex to the law of the Most High. The schoolmaster, which is the law, is to bring us to Messiah. Once We are brought to Messiah. We are no longer under or inferior to the law of the Most High. Let's go to Matthew chapter 10, verse 24. Matthew chapter 10, verse 24. It says this, the disciples, the disciple, this is Messiah saying this. He said, the disciple, the word disciple means a learner or a pupil or a student. It says, it's not above. He is not over. He is not beyond. He is not top. If I may use that terminology, he is not above his master. When you look up this word master, it means instructor or teacher. So the pupil is not above or greater than the teacher or the instructor. Why? Because if the pupil was greater than the teacher, then there would be no need for him to be taught. But because there is a need for him to inquire or require the information of the teacher, then he is inferior to the teacher. Why? Because he doesn't have the understanding and the knowledge that the teacher has. Now look at this. Nor the servant above his Lord. He says in verse 25, he said, it is enough, it is satisfactory, or it suffices for the disciple or the learner or the student, the pupil, that he be what? As the teacher. That he be as the teacher, and the servant as the Lord. So what does this mean? This means that a student or a pupil can never be over or beyond the teacher. Okay? Say for instance, Galatians chapter 3 tells us that the law is our schoolmaster, the law is our teacher. So we cannot be greater or above the law of the Most High, but we can be as the law of the Most High. We no longer have to be inferior to the law of the Most High. So if you are as the teacher, that means that you walk as the teacher, you have the same knowledge as the teacher, which puts you on an equal level. The teacher is not here and you down here. That means if you're striving to be as the teacher, you are trying to inquire and learn the knowledge that the teacher has, which elevates you to the level to make you equal or to make you as the teacher. So if the law is our schoolmaster, in that analogy, then we ought to be striving to be as the schoolmaster. So if the schoolmaster tells us you should not commit adultery or you should keep the Shabbat day, the only way for us to be as the schoolmaster is to do and walk in the understanding that the schoolmaster is instructing us to do. So therefore, you're no longer under the schoolmaster, but you are equal to him. You're no longer under the schoolmaster, but you are as the schoolmaster, because you are walking in the learning and in the application of what's being taught by the schoolmaster. You have inquired and you have acquired the understanding and the knowledge of the schoolmaster. So the law is our schoolmaster. To do what? To bring us to Messiah. So how are you going to be brought to Messiah throwing away the law? And just because we have become equal with the schoolmaster doesn't mean that we no longer have to follow the application in which we have been taught by the schoolmaster. We walk in the applications of which we have been taught. The schoolmaster is the law. That being said, we cannot be above or we cannot be beyond the schoolmaster. But it is a delightful and satisfactory, and it suffices us to be as the schoolmaster. So we ought to be striving to be as the schoolmaster if that be the case, if the law is our schoolmaster. We should be obeying it. We should be doing what it instructs us to do. Why? Because it's going to bring us to Messiah. It's going to show us the revelation, the true revelation of who Messiah is. I want to read one more verse of scripture, and we're going to close this session for tonight. Two more verses of scripture, okay? One found in Romans chapter 3 verse 28. Romans chapter 3 verse 28 says, therefore we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. Is that true? Yes, it is. But let's skip down to Romans chapter 3 verse 31. He said, do we make void the law? He says, Yah forbid. Yea, we establish the law. So just because we're not justified by the deeds of the law, but we're justified through faith, does not mean that our faith make the law void. What does that word void mean? It means to be entirely useless, idle, to do away with, to cease, to abolish, none without effect, to do away with, or to bring to naught. That's what void is. Something void, it has nothing. It is meaningless. It is useless, all right? So our faith does not make the law useless or meaningless or a non-effect. On the contrary, we establish the law because of our faith in Messiah Yeshua. To establish means to stand, abide, appoint, continue, to uphold, to stand by, forth, still, and upon. So we stand upon the law of the Most High. We continue in the law of the Most High as a byproduct of our faith. Why? Because the law, which is our schoolmaster, has brought us to faith in Messiah, that we might be justified through faith in Messiah. So you cannot even be brought to that knowledge unless you come through the schoolmaster, which brings you to that knowledge. Yeshua says in Matthew chapter 17, think not that I come to destroy. That word destroy means to demolish, to bring to naught, to halt, to overthrow, or to disintegrate. He said, I have not come to destroy the law and the prophets. I have come not to destroy them, but to fulfill them. The word fulfill means to accomplish, to complete, to finish. Verse 18 says, for verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass away, not one jot or tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Verse 19 says, whosoever shall break the least of the commandments and shall teach men to do so shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach men to do so shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. I pray that this teaching was a great inspiration to your heart. Once again, you are listening and viewing Sound the Trumpet Radio Ministry. I am your host, Raah Pathwal Yisrael of YHWH True Remnant Fellowship and Ministry. If you would like to write me, you can write me at my email address, which is trueremnantministries@gmail.com. If you would like to call me, you can contact me. My phone number is 573-944-6786. We also have a website, which we have many articles and things of that nature. Our website address is yhwhremnant.org. If you're being blessed by this broadcast, we do ask that you allow the Spirit to move upon your heart to send us a contribution that we might be able to stay on the air and also continue in the ministry that the Most High had called us to fulfill, to be a great blessing to you and to serve Yah in fullness of understanding and wisdom. May the Most High bless you. May He keep you till next time we say shalom to you in the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Shalom. When that trumpet blows.